We're going to be doing question and answers today. So whatever you have on your mind is fair game for today. Today was supposed to be the number 3 of the 3-part series that I've been doing over the last few weeks, but I didn't get it edited because I thought I could edit it on my new system, which is why I bought my new system. But it arrived 2 days later than what they said initially. And then when it did arrive, it took me longer to set it up than I thought. And needless to say, I did not get to editing that video. So that's still coming. I moved it to next week. And then the week after that the next, not to next week, but to the next time we're here on YouTube. And then the time after that we're on YouTube, I'm going to be showing you how I hang my bigger rugs on the wall. And I have an old video on YouTube. Let me say, it's so old that it actually shows me climbing on top of a watch cabinet. So you won't be seeing that now. I'm too old to be doing that. So that's quite an older video. But I wanted to give you a little bit more detail on how I actually go about that and just update that video. What else can I tell you? I just want to say thank you to the people watching on YouTube. I'm getting some thumbs up and some hearts, and I love all that input from YouTube. But you can also comment, and normally I can see your comments, but right now that window seems to be, let me find it. There it is. There it is. There it is. I found it. And then it went away. It's not quite 4 o'clock yet, so I guess I can be a little bit of a screw up at this point, right? I'll get it. We'll get it figured out before 4 o'clock. So Aileen is saying, should I join you on YouTube or the Zoom? If you join on Zoom, as you know, you can unmute and ask me questions directly. When you're on YouTube, you can't do any of that. All you can do is comment. And we will continue to the discussion after YouTube. So you might want to come over to YouTube since you are a member of the rug cooking journey. Netta is saying, she's in Murphy's, California. We are here for a rug cooking retreat with some of our guild. Very cool. Glad you are here and you're taking time out of your retreat to join us. Okay, that must be 4 o'clock. Let's get started. I'm going to kick it off with a question that I got as a response to the email that I sent out today. And that comes from Heather. And she says, my question is, when doing hit and miss, do you worry more about color choice when placing a strip beside another strip, or about value, whether it is light, medium, and dark in comparison? Well, it's a little bit of both, Heather, but I guess what's most important with his hit and miss is the strategy that I use to actually complete the hit and miss. And I actually moved the cabinet to the other side, so to get my scrap paper, I have to go over here. Let me grab this. And when I do hit and miss, I never, ever, ever, ever have one place and one place only to put my next strip. So I do not say start on the left and work my way over. I never do that. Couple reasons. I don't want my hit and miss to be perfectly straight up and down. I like it a little bit crooked anyways, right? So I always set up an area for the hit and miss. Then what I do is I hook a couple of lines, and some of those lines might be quite crooked. This might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but some of them are not straight. I do not worry about them being straight because I want my hit and miss to be a little bit crooked. Then, and this is pretty small, if this was real size, this isn't too far off, I would then be able, even on a small frame, I would have this many choices. I would then pull a strip out of my scrap bin, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 possibilities, right? I can go on either side of this line or this group, either side of this one, either side of this one, or I can start a new group with it. So that's what is important. And what I tend to do is I tend to look at what I've done in the past. So if what I pull out is, say, a navy blue, and I just did a navy blue right here, I'm obviously not going to put navy blue here, and I'm going to go somewhere down this end, and I'm going to put navy blue in. The same thing would be if I would pick up a pink. Now, that pink might be nice next to the navy blue, right? Because it's going to be a change in value. It's definitely a change in color. But I just sort of hold that strip and try to look for a place where it looks good and it sort of snaps into place for me. I'm constantly looking at what I've done in the past. Generally speaking, I work from left to right to some extent. So I have more of it hooked on this area than I will over here. And I'll look at what's been done in the past and figure out what comes next. And I'll do that kind of thing, right? So let me see if I answered the question. Is it more about color choice or about value? I think it's a little bit of both, because I guess I'm gonna reverse myself on that. I'm gonna say it's mainly about value, because I would put a light blue next to a dark blue, but I probably wouldn't put a dark blue and a dark red right next to each other. So I guess to me, value is more important, even in hit and miss. I'm going to be constantly looking for some kind of a variance, and I'll move that dark red strip down until I find a place where it actually works. Let me check the comments, see if there's any new questions. If you are on the Zoom room with me, you can raise your hand if you want to ask the question live. And it looks like I need to continue on with the email. Joan is asking, why do my loops twist when I pull them up, even when they feel perfectly fine before actually pulling them up? That's a tough one, Joan, without actually seeing you hook. It could be a couple of different things. When you've got a row of hooking, and this might seem like fundamental basics, but I've seen rug hookers do this, so I want to make sure that I cover it. And I don't have a hook handy. Okay, but I do have a screwdriver, which shows you, I guess, the state of my desk right now, right? So let's pretend that this is a rug hook. And if you were hooking this row of loops, and you're hooking, your hook needs to be perpendicular to the direction you're going, right? So I've seen people hook and hold their hook this way when they're pulling it up. Then they pull it up, and then maybe they turn. Sometimes they turn it, sometimes they don't. But it will twist it if your hook is not perfectly perpendicular. So that could be an issue. The other thing is, what usually ends up happening is when you are, and again, I'm going to use this, and I've got a cord. I don't have a wool strip. And when it's hanging down, let's say, okay, so it's hanging down from the backing, you want to go in and scoop underneath it. But if you take your hook and you take this piece of wool and you wrap it around the hook before you pull it up, that will traditionally cause a twist. So that could be the issue. Those are the two most common causes that I know of There's tons of other, and it kind of depends on what you're doing with your hands. As a follow-up, she's asking also, does it matter if they are twisted? Like, will that cause a quicker wear spot? No, it just causes the top of the loop to look different than the rest of the loops. And I did turn my phone off, so let me do that right now. Okay, so the top of the loop is going to look different. Now, I will twist loops on purpose when I am hooking trees, when I'm hooking faces, when I'm hooking anything that's natural, flowers, anything along that line. If I have a loop that comes up twisted, I don't worry about it too much. Even if it's in like a straight line, because it causes some variation in the line, and I kind of like that. I don't think it's going to cause necessarily a wear spot. It depends on what you've done underneath. So I don't think that's an issue per se. It's more of an appearance thing, what it looks like from the top of the loops. Okay, guys, any other questions? Okay, Heather, it looks like a follow-up. She says, I have done a section of hit and miss, and there are 2 strips of yellow that are really jumping out at me. Should I pull them out and replace them, or wait until more of my rug is hooked? Okay, so if you have been listening to my videos, you already know what my answer is going to be, right? And the answer is leave them in until you get the whole thing hooked. I have a hit and miss rug. It's on my wall, so I can't pull it. And there's also in my room size rug. I guess we can edit this out. Let me grab that and pull that into the camera view. Oh, if I can. Okay. Let's show, is there one on this side? Okay, so on here, you might see like this one way up here at the top. That one's almost white. And when I hooked that, I kind of went, yow. But then there's another yellow one here that's almost white. And another one here that's almost white. I'll probably end up leaving them in. They seemed a little on the light side when I hooked them. But when it's all said and done, I'm happy with it. So part of it is your own personal tolerance. The more you get rid of, how can I say this? The more you get rid of the wrong ones, the ones that are jumping out, the ones that are maybe a little bit different than all the rest, the more formal the hit and miss looks. So I like an informal, casual, sort of an antique look to it. So I like to put in some strips that aren't quite right, that aren't perfect, that kind of shouldn't be there, but are. And I'm fine with that. Okay, so April is asking, I know you use a sashing when making pillows with your hooked rug pieces, but how do you keep the corners of the pillows from flattening and flopping? From flattening and flopping. The only thing I can think of, April, is that you don't have it stuffed enough. maybe your pillow itself is too flat. My corners do not flip down. I don't typically use a pillow form, but that's due to lack of planning rather than, any other reason. When I hook a pillow, I want the design to tell me what size it should be. I don't want to conform to a pillow form size. So I simply stuff with fiberfill. And you could do the same thing. If your pillow form doesn't quite fill it out, you could add a little bit of the fiberfill for that. And that's the loose stuff that they use for like stuffed animals and things like that. I guess I would have to talk to you more about what you mean by flattening and flopping, because I've had no experience with any of my pillows doing that. Has anybody else, those of you in the Zoom room, have any of you had trouble with the pillows flattening or flopping or doing anything along that line? Okay. And I think I'm out of questions again. Let me check. I don't see any hands raised in Zoom. And I can't bring up the Zoom chat. Oh, crap. What happened there? Okay. Any other questions? If you've typed a question into the Zoom chat, please just unmute and go ahead and ask your question. Okay, nobody's playing along. Okay, so Cherie, this is my last backup question. So if there's no more questions after this, we'll just end it. Cherie said, I often see one of our past vacation photos, and I think I would like to hook that, but I really haven't been hooking long enough to know how to begin the process. I know I lean more towards realistic, and I like a number 3 through number 6. But I wonder how to decide if a picture would be good design to hook. What elements are essential? What would be a good idea, or would it be a good idea to use graphic to help with the design? You are helping all of us become better, more self-confident rug hookers. Thank you. Oh, Cherie, that's sweet. To kick off the easy ones, yes, I like to use Notion because in Notion, or graphic, because in graphic, I simply go through and trace the main elements that I want in my photo. And then I can turn the photo off and see the design by itself before I commit to it on rug warp or any kind of backing. Cherie, if you've never hooked a pictorial, what you might want to do is just do a little 8-inch design. Draw an 8 by 8 inch square and hook maybe an element of that vacation photo. Then once you're confident with that, then you can work up a whole big design and you'll already know how to hook part of it, right? Because you've already hooked it before. And chances are you're going to figure out ways to improve it and hook it even better. So practice is something that rug hookers aren't real open always to doing. Before I hooked my room size rug, I did 2 footstools and I think 3 stair risers before I even drew the pattern on the backing. But that gave me the ability to know exactly what I liked, how to hook the main motifs, and what combinations of wool would give me the effect that I liked. So that practice was huge because I wasn't experimenting on my big piece. Once I got to the big piece, I knew exactly what to do. So it was so much easier.